It was a clear, bright afternoon with the sun high and streets full of life. People moved fast, shops were open, traffic flowed, and voices blended into the noise of the day. In the middle of all that normal life, Steven Seagal noticed something that did not belong. A woman standing nearby kept her arm close to her body. Not relaxed, not natural. As if hiding something. Steven slowed his steps. His eyes caught the faint marks on her skin. Dark bruises, fresh and careless. The kind that do not come from accidents. She noticed his glance and immediately turned away. She pulled her sleeve down even though the heat was heavy. Her shoulders stiffened. Her breath changed. Fear replaced calm. Most people would have kept walking. Most people did keep walking. Daytime gives danger a disguise. Pain hides better under sunlight. Steven stopped. He did not stare. He did not speak. He simply looked at her with quiet awareness. A look that said, "I see you." A look that said, "You are not invisible." For a second her eyes met his. And in that second everything was said. Fear, shame, and a silent request for help. The street kept moving. Cars passed. People laughed. Life continued like nothing was wrong. But something had already shifted. Steven did not raise his voice. He did not rush. He did not make a scene. His calm was heavier than noise. The woman swallowed hard. She looked around as if checking who was watching. Then she looked back at Steven. Her eyes filled but no tears fell. That was when people nearby began to notice. Pause. A stillness. A tension that did not match the sunny day. Steven took one step closer. Not threatening. Not aggressive. Just present. That single step was enough to change the air. Conversations slowed. Footsteps hesitated. Phones lowered. Whatever was about to happen. Everyone could feel it. This was no movie scene. No spotlight. No dramatic music. Just daylight. Bruises. And a man who refused to look away. What Steven Seagal did next. In the middle of a normal afternoon. With strangers watching. Would shock everyone there. Because true courage does not wait for darkness. It acts even when the world is watching. And this moment was only the beginning. It was a bright afternoon and the city was wide awake. Sunlight reflected off shop windows and cars moved slowly through traffic. Cafes were full and people walked past with coffee cups, phones, and shopping bags. Everything looked normal, peaceful, even routine. Near the corner of the street, a bus stop sat in the open. A few people waited quietly, checking the time or staring at the road. Among them stood a woman holding her bag tightly against her chest. Not casually, not comfortably. As if it were the only thing keeping her steady. Her eyes stayed low. She avoided looking at anyone for too long. Every time footsteps came too close, her grip tightened. Her shoulders stayed tense like she was ready to flinch. The sun was warm but she seemed cold. A light breeze passed and she adjusted her sleeve quickly. That small movement revealed something for just a moment. Dark marks on her wrist. Fresh bruises. Uneven and careless. Steven Seagal walked along the sidewalk like any other passerby. No security. No attention. Just a man moving through the day. He was about to walk past when he noticed the way she stood. Not waiting. Not resting. But bracing. He slowed and paused a few steps away. Not close enough to alarm her. Not far enough to ignore what he saw. Her sleeve slipped again. This time longer. Long enough for him to clearly see the bruises on her wrist and forearm. They were not old. They were not fading. They told a story without words. Steven looked at her face. Her eyes carried fear, not exhaustion. Fear that expected something bad to happen at any second. She noticed his gaze and immediately turned her body away. Her hand pulled the sleeve down fast. Too fast. "I am fine," she said softly. The words came out automatically, like something she had practiced many times before. But her voice betrayed her. It shook. Just enough to be heard. Just enough to tell the truth she was hiding. Steven did not question her. He did not push. He did not accuse. He simply stood there calmly. Present. Listening without words. Around them the city continued. A bus passed. Someone laughed nearby. A phone rang. No one else noticed. No one else wanted to notice. Silence wrapped around her like protection. And like a prison. She stared at the ground. Her fingers trembled slightly on the strap of her bag. The bruises were hidden again. But the fear was not. Steven understood something important in that moment. Pain does not always cry. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides behind polite answers and lowered eyes. He could walk away. Everyone else already had. But he stayed. That choice alone changed the moment. Because when someone stays, silence begins to crack. The woman shifted her weight nervously. She glanced up once more, then away, as if checking whether it was safe to exist. The sun kept shining. But the truth was heavy. And this was only the beginning of what was about to unfold. Comment yes if you believe silence can hide pain. The moment shattered without warning. A man stormed toward the woman from across the street. His face was tense. His steps were aggressive. His voice cut through the daylight. He shouted her name loud enough for everyone to hear. Heads turned. Conversations paused. But no one moved. The woman froze. Her body stiffened before he even reached her. Fear hit her before his hand did. He grabbed her arm hard, right where the bruises already were. No shame. No hesitation. As if the street belonged to him. She flinched. Her bag slipped from her shoulder. Her eyes widened, but no sound came out. People stared. Some slowed their steps. Some pretended not to see. Phones stayed in pockets. Feet stayed planted. Daylight made them feel safe. Like violence only counts at night. The man kept shouting. Accusations. Threats. Words meant to control. Words meant to break. She tried to pull away. He tightened his grip. Pain crossed her face clearly now. Still no one stepped forward. That was when Steven turned back. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just calm. His body language changed the air. He stood between the man and the woman. Not touching. Not threatening. Just present. His voice was low. Firm. Clear. Let go of her now. The words were simple. But they carried weight. The street went quieter. Not silent, but alert. The man looked at Steven, then laughed. A loud mocking laugh. The kind meant to embarrass. The kind meant to show power. He ignored Steven completely. Tightened his grip again. Pulled her closer. This is none of your business, he snapped. The woman shook. Her breathing became shallow. Her eyes searched the crowd. Still nothing. Steven did not raise his voice. He did not repeat himself. He did not argue. He took one step closer. The man scoffed. Looked Steven up and down. Judged the calm as weakness. He shoved Steven with his shoulder. Not hard, but deliberate. Some gasped. Most stayed quiet. Steven did not move back. That alone unsettled the man. You want trouble, old man, he sneered. Steven looked directly into his eyes. No anger. No fear. Only certainty. Let go of her, he said again. This time the words landed heavier. The man laughed once more. But it sounded forced. Unsteady. He tried to pull the woman away. She cried out softly. That sound broke something in the crowd. A few people stepped closer. Not to help. Just to watch better. The man felt eyes on him now. And that made him angrier. He tightened his grip. Raised his voice. Trying to regain control. Steven shifted his stance slightly. Balanced. Grounded. No rush. No tension. Just readiness. The man made a mistake. He reached toward Steven with his free hand. Not knowing. Not understanding. Daylight does not weaken skill. It exposes arrogance. The next second would change everything. The calm man he mocked, the man he ignored, was not going to walk away. And the crowd, who had done nothing, was about to witness exactly why silence is dangerous. This was the moment where watching would no longer be enough. The man made his move without thinking. Frustration had turned into confidence. Confidence into arrogance. He pushed Steven hard in the chest. Not to fight, but to dominate. To show everyone who was in control. Steven barely moved. He did not shout. He did not threaten. He did not even change his expression. His voice stayed calm, almost quiet, as if the noise around them did not exist. The man smirked, mistaking stillness for weakness. That was the moment Steven acted. In one smooth motion he stepped inside the man's space. No wasted movement. No hesitation. He redirected the pushing arm with precision, twisted the wrist just enough, shifted his weight, and controlled the balance. It happened fast. So fast most people did not understand what they were seeing. 1 second the man was standing. The next his posture collapsed. Steven did not strike. He did not punch. He did not kick. He used control, not violence. The man gasped as his body was guided downward. Not slammed. Not thrown. Placed. His knees hit the pavement first. Then his shoulder. Then his face turned toward the ground. Pain replaced confidence. Laughter vanished. The street froze. People stopped walking. Cars slowed. Even the noise of the city seemed to hold its breath. Then phones came out. Hands reached for cameras. Screens lifted. Red lights blinked. The man struggled. But every movement tightened the hold. Steven adjusted slightly. Still calm. Still controlled. "Stop resisting," he said quietly. The words were not loud, but they carried authority. The man tried to twist free. His strength failed him. He was helpless, pinned, controlled, not by force, but by precision. Fear replaced anger in his eyes. He realized too late. This was not a man to push. The woman stepped back, her hands shaking, her breathing heavy. For the first time she was free. Steven glanced at her, just long enough to make sure she was safe, then returned his focus. The crowd stared, some in shock, some in disbelief. No one laughed now. The man groaned, face pressed against the ground. Ego crushed faster than his body. Steven did not humiliate him. He did not insult him. He held him there, firm, steady, waiting. Sirens could be heard in the distance. Faint at first, then closer. Someone had finally called the police. Steven kept his grip, ensuring no one else got hurt. The man stopped struggling. Defeat settled in. Daylight revealed everything. The abuse, the arrogance, the truth. The crowd realized something important. Violence had been happening in front of them, and calm had ended it. Steven slowly eased the pressure, just enough to keep control, not enough to cause harm. The street was no longer just a street. It had become a lesson. Not all power is loud. Not all strength is violent. Sometimes, the most shocking thing of all, is how quickly arrogance falls, when it meets discipline. And this was not over yet. The sound of sirens cut through the street, sharp and unmistakable, growing louder with every second. People turned their heads toward the noise. Relief mixed with tension. The moment was finally catching up with reality. Steven remained calm, still holding the man in place. Not aggressive, not cruel, just controlled. 2 police cars pulled up near the sidewalk. Doors opened quickly. Officers stepped out alert and cautious. The crowd parted naturally. Phones were still raised. Whispers traveled faster than the sirens had. An officer approached first. Hands visible. Voice steady. "Sir, step back." Steven slowly released the hold, raising his hands slightly. No sudden movements. The man on the ground groaned, rolling onto his side. Still shaken. Still defeated. The woman stood nearby, tears forming now that fear was leaving her body. One officer knelt beside her, asking gentle questions. Another spoke to Steven. "What happened here?" Before Steven could answer, voices came from the crowd. "He grabbed her. He was shouting at her. He wouldn't let go. More people spoke up. Details filled the air. The silence from before was gone. The officer listened carefully, eyes moving between witnesses. The woman, the man on the ground. The truth became clear. The officer turned back to Steven, studying him more closely now. The calm, the posture, the familiarity. Recognition slowly crossed his face. He paused, then nodded slightly. "That was Steven Seagal," he said quietly. The words spread instantly. People looked again. Closer this time. Murmurs rolled through the crowd. Shock. Disbelief. "That's him." "No way. I didn't realize." Steven did not react. Fame meant nothing in that moment. The officer's tone changed. Respect replaced formality. "Thank you for stepping in." The man on the ground began protesting, trying to explain, trying to regain control. No one listened. Officers cuffed him carefully, lifting him to his feet. The woman spoke now, her voice shaky but clear. She told her story. Every bruise suddenly mattered. The crowd listened. Some looked down ashamed. Some nodded silently. Daylight exposed more than bruises. It exposed hesitation. Steven stepped back, giving space, letting the moment belong to her. The officer returned once more. "You could have walked away." Steven answered calmly. "Someone needed help." The officer nodded. The crowd grew quiet again. But this time it was different. This silence felt heavy, reflective. People realized something uncomfortable. They had all been there. They had all seen it. Only one person had acted. The police led the man away. His anger gone. His power gone. The woman was safe. Surrounded by officers. Surrounded by witnesses. Steven prepared to leave. Just another man returning to the sidewalk. But the crowd did not forget. The reveal was not his name, or his fame. The reveal was the choice: should he have stepped in or stayed silent? Comment step in or walk away. The officers finished their work quickly. The man was placed in handcuffs and guided toward the police car. His voice was loud at first. Then it faded. Control had finally left him. The door closed. The street exhaled. The woman stood still for a moment, as if her body had not yet caught up with what just happened. Then her strength gave way. She broke down in tears. Not quiet, not hidden, but real. Tears of fear. Tears of relief. Tears of everything she had been holding inside. An officer supported her gently. Another offered water. The crowd stepped back. Respect replaced curiosity. Steven approached slowly, carefully, so she would not feel overwhelmed. He spoke softly, low enough that only she could hear. "You are safe now." Those words landed heavier than anything else that day. Her breathing slowed. Her shoulders dropped. For the first time she did not look like she was bracing for pain. Steven did not ask questions. He did not demand explanations. He did not rush her. He simply stayed. The officers explained her options. Support. Protection. Next steps. Steven listened, then nodded. "Make sure she gets home safely," he said calmly. The officers agreed. The woman looked up at him, eyes red, hands shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. Steven met her eyes. Steady, reassuring. "You did nothing wrong," he said. That sentence broke something open. More tears fell. But this time they were lighter. Around them the crowd remained quiet. Phones lowered. Heads bowed. The moment no longer belonged to spectacle. It belonged to truth. Steven turned slightly toward the people watching. Not angry. Not accusing. Just honest. "Strength exists to protect," he said. "Not to control." No one argued. No one laughed. The words settled into the street, into the silence. Some people nodded. Some looked away. All of them listened. Daylight still filled the city. But it felt different now. The officers prepared to leave, helping the woman into a safe vehicle. making sure she was not alone. She looked back one last time. Steven gave a small nod. That was enough. He did not stay for praise. He did not wait for attention. He stepped back, blending again into the crowd. The street returned to motion. Cars moved. People walked. Shops stayed open. But something had changed. Those who watched carried the moment with them. The hesitation, the regret, the lesson. They had seen control exposed, and protection chosen. Steven walked away quietly. No cameras, no speeches, just a man who understood one simple truth. Power without compassion is weakness. Real strength shows itself when it defends those who cannot. And that message, spoken gently, without force, without violence, was louder than anything shouted that day. Real heroes are not created in comfort. They are revealed in moments that feel heavy. Moments where staying quiet feels easier. Moments where walking away feels safer. Anyone can act when applause is guaranteed. Anyone can be brave when the risk is low. True courage appears when the cost is real. That day proved something simple. Strength is not loud. It does not announce itself. It does not wait for permission. Bruises may fade with time. Skin heals. Marks disappear. But courage leaves something deeper. It leaves memory. It leaves impact. It leaves change. The woman will remember the fear. But she will also remember the moment it stopped. She will remember that someone stayed. Someone saw. Someone acted. And the crowd will remember too. They will remember the pause. The hesitation. The silence that almost won. Silence protects abuse. Because silence gives permission. Silence tells harm it can continue. Silence tells victims they are alone. Action breaks that silence. Action interrupts fear. Action reminds people that they matter. Action does not always mean force. Sometimes it means presence. Sometimes it means speaking one clear sentence. Sometimes it means refusing to look away. That is what made the difference. Not fame. Not strength. Not recognition. Choice. A choice to step in. A choice to protect. A choice to stand between harm and hope. This story is not about one man. It is about responsibility. It is about the moments we all face. Moments where doing nothing feels normal. Daylight does not make danger disappear. Crowds do not guarantee safety. Public places can still hide pain. That is why awareness matters. That is why courage matters. That is why action matters. You may never face a moment like this. But if you do, remember this. You do not need to be powerful. You do not need to be famous. You do not need to be fearless. You only need to care enough to act. One voice can stop harm. One step can change a moment. One decision can save someone. Real strength protects the weak. It defends dignity. It refuses to control. And it does not wait for applause. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it reminded you of your own responsibility, type respect if you believe protecting the weak is real strength. And tell me where you are watching from.